Just for 8 hours, I'm sure.
For 8 hours. So it looks like we're live. So Mike, appreciate you being here with me today. For those of you who haven't met Mike and I, my name's Justin Gazaba, and on the line we've got Mike Dickson. And so we've kind of just tried to put together a short podcast or some kind of video cast. Business, life, and brotherhood is, I think, what I'm going to roll with on this one, and talk to folks in AKPsi a little bit about what's going on with them and how we can connect with them. So, Mike, appreciate you being on the show, and let's jump right in. If you want to dive in and tell folks a little bit about you and how you started and what school you went to and all that fun stuff, and then we'll take it from there.
All right. So I went to Central Washington University and graduated in 2005. And then from there, so obviously joined AKPsi when I was there as a student. Ended up being elected president as well during my time. But after school, I picked up a job in Portland for about a month. And I kind of quit that job. My values weren't aligning with the organization. So from there, I moved back home and then ended up getting a job at corporate Starbucks, working in their supply chain group for about 2.5 years, and then ended up moving to Boeing, where I've been there since, and I'm coming up to 10 years in November with Boeing. So pretty good tenure there so far. Yeah, it's been a whirlwind at Boeing. A lot of great opportunities, I would say. So definitely some interesting opportunities and stuff. So
yeah, that's awesome. And so almost 10 years at Boeing. That's quite a tenure. And you've done other stuff too. You've stayed active in AKPsi and connecting with brothers and stuff like that. Why don't you tell the folks a little bit about kind of your varying roles and what you do now?
So after I graduated school, I kind of just volunteered with the chapter at Central Washington University for a bit of time. Ended up becoming a chapter advisor there, kind of helping out with that realm. And then from being a chapter advisor, I ended up taking a year off between that and becoming the regional director. And then as that had gone, it was a great experience being a regional director for AKPsi, and I think that's been my most favorite and rewarding position within the AKPsi that I've held. And then I think the last 4 or 5 years, I've been the vice president for Area 1, so I kind of oversee all of the West Coast operations. So, Washington, Oregon, California, as well as the Arizona schools, and then Texas. So kind of just a big L is what I kind of cover. So,
and so how is that different as being an RD? Because I know that things kind of with the Heritage Center, they kind of changed the way that RDs work, and they introduced some new kind of, not oversight, but different leadership positions. How does that change, like, who you connect with and who you would talk to on a regular basis?
So as far as the RD side goes, there wasn't that much of a change, I would say. The structural changes that really come into play is the span of control. So some RDs may have only had like 7 chapters that they had to deal with, and some other ones had to have like 30 chapters. And so there was quite a bit of a difference and imbalance. And so really trying to allow for, others to really kind of get into a good opportunity as far as the overall not being overwhelmed, as well as being able to provide better service to the student members and the other volunteers. And that's where the span of control went up to the next level with the area vice presidents, because we went from, I think it was 13 RDs in 13 regions to 16. And so it's kind of like the rule of 4. So you have 4 area vice presidents who have 4 RDs who should have 3 to 4 section directors below that, and then the section directors have 3 to 4 chapter advisors. So then that way the span of control and the aspect of allowing teams and individuals to really get a good focus, especially in volunteering wise. It's much different from Boeing. I've had up to 36 employees, where right now I think I'm sitting at like 16, which isn't really that bad. But 36 employees does take a lot out of your day. And so we're really trying to limit that, especially within the volunteer ranks, because, it doesn't pay. So.
Right. You're a volunteer. So that's kind of the,
yeah,
it's about giving back and connecting with people and doing something that you would normally have had the opportunity to do. So it's awesome. So with roles and leadership, who do you find yourself talking to the most, or what kind of engagement as a VP in that position do you look for from student chapters, or where's your kind of, who do you talk to the most, really?
Yeah. So, to be honest with you, and this isn't anything against the students wise, I love students. That's, they're my favorite part of AKPsi, as well as the bonds and friendships that I've made. But, when I think about it, I really try not to get too involved with the daily operations, just because you're at a strategic level.
Right.
And so
that makes sense.
You don't want to over project yourself into, somebody else's realm, into their duties and requirements. And so I really find myself, because you are in a strategic role at the vice president level. So, a lot of the focus is really gained and put towards the aspect of working with the president, the executive vice president, and the CEO. Most of my RDs are pretty much hands-off type of individuals. If they need extra coaching, things along those lines, and when we have touch bases, we kind of go through things, but I'm not going to sit there and micromanage them, because you're at that level where it's a leadership role.
Yeah, so you have the RDs that you kind of communicate with, so not really much interaction from the students on your end, and then you report or you talk directly to the Heritage Center. Is that kind of the long and the short of it?
Oh yeah, well, and it's only select individuals at the Heritage Center. Really.
Right.
So I mean, if there's
well, yeah, you wouldn't call down the phone tree and talk to everybody there. I mean, obviously you're going to have your,
it's definitely situational.
Perfect. Because what I'm trying to do with this environment is, one, I want to be able to, connect with people that and share their story a little bit, and also give folks the opportunity to let them know kind of what the roles are, what people do, and how to reach out. And AKPsi is one avenue where that should be super easy to do, because it's a safe environment, right? There's no, you can get away with trying to host an event, trying to do something different, trying to connect with people, and there's really no like, you can't, how would you get in trouble? It's like, it's not a big deal, it's a safe environment that way. But then also, like, insofar as mentorship and roles and communicating and meeting somebody that you wouldn't otherwise have met with because of the fraternal bond, in life and in business. And so try to give folks an aspect of what it is that you do and where you're from and what that looks like, in case they want to say, hey, Mike, I need help, or you're in a field that I'm interested in, or you did supply chain management for Starbucks, and I'm looking at a gig with Costco. Like, let's talk about what corporate life is really like, or I'm having, whatever the case might be. Yeah. So aside from your roles there and the volunteer process, is there certain things that you look for when you connect with alumni, or if any student member reaches up? Is there any kind of stuff that you would volunteer, put yourself out there for, or maybe something that you have an innate knowledge or just experience with that people would reach out and talk to you about, maybe your business life?
Honestly, what's been kind of funny is I don't think I've had that much of a relationship with the student side as far as the business side goes, as much as I'd probably like. I actually get more of that with working directly with like my home chapter or within Boeing. So I also participate in Boeing as one of the, I guess, campus relation individuals for Central Washington University. Okay. Each kind of, there's different vice presidents and executives that have roles at Boeing that are directly connected to the different universities. So my mentor is actually the executive focal for Central. And so that's one way that I feel that, outside of AKPsi, but within the AKPsi itself, as far as the, I think I find myself being more active with alumni in those experiences, working within jobs and kind of professional career, things along those lines, especially individuals that are fairly young, getting into companies and organizations. So, with, maybe 0 to like 4 or 5 years of experience is what I'm kind of finding. Not as much as I would say with students wise, but I think that's where kind of the balance is at.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, having been a student for some time, and your active role in AKPsi kind of puts you outside of the spectrum where a student might know about you, exclusively. I mean, they're always encouraged to reach out to alumni, but it isn't always something that happens. And so, and I think that's one of the key things here is to put out to the world and put out to the alumni is, how do you, so in working with Boeing and having that access to the chapter that way, and those relationships that way, and then saying that you're working with folks, 0 to 5 years, alumni are reaching out, or you're connecting somehow. How do those connections typically come about?
It's either, there's sometimes that I'll have different RDs that will say, hey, by the way, we have somebody that's in our region that's interning with Boeing per se. There's that aspect of it. Or, I may find somebody that's really interested in Boeing in general, like as far as like somebody that's looking at going to Boeing or moving into Boeing. Typically maybe somebody within supply chain wise.
Okay. And so
connecting wise, it's either like LinkedIn or Facebook, typically. It could be a text from one of the other volunteers saying, hey, I have somebody that's interested in this role. So it's like, okay, send them my contact info.
So it's the classic introduction, or the classic LinkedIn message. Hey, I saw you were here and I'd love to connect and bounce some things off you using, that kind of thing. Is that what you're kind of saying?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, I think there's with AKPsi right now, with the different events and organizations, or actually the different events like PBLI, convention, if somebody's not up speaking in front of the students, right, they don't really have the opportunity to understand what the volunteers actually do outside. So I think that's kind of a gap. It's not like, you're walking around with a name brand shirt saying, I work for Boeing, or, come talk to me, it's kind of interesting. There's a lot of companies as well that's, you kind of have to be careful with that because it's somebody else's role, with like the recruitment aspect of it. But
certainly. Yeah, that's what I think could be interesting about this. And I've always seen AKPsi as a platform for people to try new things and do something different. And one of the, gosh, I can't remember who it was, but it might have been Jeff, but at the Heritage Center, talking to them as a student member, saying that one of the least used resources is, you know, the ability to connect with the alumni, and just on the premise of Brotherhood, and ask them about their story and ask them what they've got going on. Because, you know, at the end of the day, the more people that you know, the more people that you connect with, and the more people that if you know what they're doing, you would know, you know, like, oh, you should talk to so-and-so, or actually they're in this kind of field too, and maybe you guys should connect, and you can be a connector that way. And I think there's a lot of power there. So you've got a lot of people reaching out to you just via LinkedIn, connecting with RDs. Hey, talk to so-and-so. What do you find like are the best ways to connect? Like if somebody here didn't know you, or if somebody here was interested in, you know, a certain position, maybe not at Boeing, maybe not with you, but maybe with somebody else, what would you encourage them to do in a capacity to reach out?
I would say definitely. I mean, you know, I know LinkedIn's a big key right now in a lot of the overall aspect of networking. I mean, that's a huge one. You know, understanding, kind of looking as well to see if there's any companies specifically that you're kind of looking at, you know, looking into the network, seeing if you find somebody. I know the Heritage Center does have some resources that people can tap into as well. You know, so contacting the Heritage Center, getting a list of different individuals. There's some alumni that are in general just reaching out that way. You know, one thing I've held through my career, and I think it's very pertinent even, you know, when you're looking for your first job, or, you know, trying to figure out where you want to go, is always ask questions, but as well as asking for help. You know, people are always willing to help out with
how do you mean? Because how do you mean, like, always asking for help?
So like, if I was
getting a message, are you getting a message on LinkedIn that says, hey, I saw you were XYZ, can you help me? Are you talking like that? Or
there's that aspect of it, but there's also relying on the individuals that you know. So you know, when you are working with an RD or a chapter advisor, right, saying, hey, so these are my kind of career goals that I would like to get into. Do you know anybody that can help me out with this? Or can you help me build out my network? And I use that at Boeing all the time too, is, hey, you know, I look for somebody that's either like, you know, somebody that's a senior manager or a director, that if you ask, you know, just in general, people are always willing to help. And so if you just say, hey, look, you know, this is something I'm interested in, can you help me out here? Or so if like you wanted to get connected with somebody that's, you know, I mean, for instance, you know, I had a student that was down in, I think, the Miami area. He was really interested in Boeing. And so he had gone to his RD and said, hey, you know, do you know anybody in this area, specifically the Northwest? Because you can understand, it's like, okay, you know, where are things headquarters at, right?
Yeah. And Miami's a world away. Well, I guess they got Charlotte or North Carolina if they're interested in Boeing, but still.
But, you know, so you have those aspects where, you know, if you just ask for help, people are always willing to help out. I mean, I do that at work. You know, if I'm just specifically interested in an organization, it's like, hey, can you kind of introduce me? Do you know anybody over here? And you may come up with a dead end, but it doesn't mean that you can't find somebody that can help you out and continue down that network. I mean, you may have to go through 3 or 4 people before you finally get to the information you want, but yeah.
I think that the key point that you brought up was, you know, coming up with a strategy, you know, for when you said something about, you know, having a progression and a career, something in mind, like, hey, I'm interested in doing XYZ, who do you know? Is there anybody I can talk to, and reaching out that way. But it sounds like you're building kind of a network strategy too of they say that you're basically the 5 people that you hang around with the most. And so if you're looking to get into a certain field, you need to start hanging out with people who have experience, or talking to those people that have experiences, and build a strategy around that, and not just, well, I guess I'm not cut out for it because they didn't respond, and go talk to more people.
Yeah. Well, if there's certain aspects of interest, I mean, Boeing's great about the fact that we have, a ton of different opportunities. I mean, whether if it's, an organization I'm looking at moving into, hopefully not this week, but next, works a lot more with robotics, and where, we have other things that go on, like carbon manufacturing. That's a big aspect, or getting into IT and software security side. I mean, you can go ahead and literally change your career path at Boeing. I mean, and they give you an education too on it. So
and still be in Boeing, which is fantastic. So kind of with that kind of upward mobility within a company, and some of the things that you just touched on with reaching out to people, and having different kind of career goals, is there stuff that you're, because I want to get into kind of like personal life stuff too, and like what you do insofar as just who is Mike, and like kind of some of your bigger goals, and what you're working towards. So is there stuff that you just mentioned, moving into maybe a different department, or connecting with a different department over there? Is there some goals that you have outlined insofar as just what you're looking to get done, and career-wise moving forward?
It's been kind of interesting as of the last little bit. The one thing that I find, over anybody's career, somebody's going to get to a point where they question their career path. And I'll be honest with you, I was honestly questioning my career path probably over this last year. There's certain circumstances, challenges that everybody kind of goes through in their work life. Not everything's going to be peaches and cream. And I mean, some people get their favorite job right off the bat, and they enjoy doing it. But what's also kind of interesting is just having that balance. So I know for me, I had experienced some bad, I would say, I guess, experiences with some of my leadership, where I definitely had to question if leadership was the way I wanted to go.
So you mean as far as working under some folks, and then do I want to step up into a leadership position, or was it more, hey, I'm not sure these people, this department is a good fit for me?
No, it was literally, do I want to be in leadership in my career? So for me, I love management. I love working with people. I love leadership. And I had to really I had some second guesses, and I still need to get this proven out, because at points it's like, maybe the frustration and challenges seeing these bad examples, don't really rely, or doesn't really make me fulfilled on being a leader.
But, well, and that's the thing about leadership too, right? Is just because your name's on a door doesn't make you a great leader. It's there's a lot of little things that go into great leadership, and taking that role on, and deciding that you're going to be the person that folks in your office and in your industry look up to. There's definitely different avenues for that.
Yeah, there's definitely some different aspects, and so. So right now I wouldn't say it's like a midlife crisis in my career, but it's one of those ones where it's like, what, I'm going to take a second thought here. And sure. I think everybody should do that, and take a second thought, because, if you're not happy doing what you're doing,
Yeah.
Really kind of think about it, because I mean, either you can get stuck and stagnant.
Yeah.
And I know I have fellow individuals that get stuck and stagnant because they get either disenfranchised, or they're just there's also the aspect of, you know what, this is okay. I'm at home with where I'm at, and there's nothing wrong with that.
And that's, I think, where quiet reflection and goal setting and figuring out, hey, are these my values? Are my values aligned here? Am I working towards a goal that I believe in? And is this the right vehicle, this position, this business that I'm in, to get me where I really want to go? Because it's, I see people who are really excited. They make 60 grand a year and they've got all kinds of weekends off, and other folks who are, they get a lot of vacation time, and then other people who work 90 hours a week and they don't take any time off, but they're excited about the prospect of where those vehicles, where those different jobs are taking them. But if you don't sit back for a minute and think to yourself, hey, is this thing taking me where I want to go? Then you don't live in a good place in your head and in your heart, and it comes home with you at night.
Yeah, and so that really does come back down to values. If you're in it just to say, hey, look, I'm in it for the money. I want a big house. I want a nice car. What's funny is that you become, ill. Like you just, you kind of get sickened with the fact that, you feel empty too. And so, because
it depends on the value, right? If at the end of the day, those things aren't actually of value to you, like a big fancy watch, like big deal. Like, to me, that's not what I'm into. But if that's where you find value in being able to do those things, then it makes sense. But, so that's super interesting. I mean, I think that's really great for people to hear that, hey, you've had a career, you've had good tenure, you're with a great company with upward mobility, and still you've got to have those talks with yourself and check in with yourself and say, hey, am I really doing the right thing for me and my family and the people that I care about by staying in a business like this? Or is there another avenue for me to pursue in this company that's going to get me where I want to be as a human person and feel good about stuff?
Well, I think that really comes back down to having a good mentor and coach too.
Yeah.
I have a wonderful mentor that, he will question, right? I mean, he never really fully gives like, hey, I think you need to go out and do this, and so it's kind of funny because he had the similar question where it's like, what do you want to do for the next, 5 to 10 years for the rest of your career? And I had the same conversation. It's like, I really don't know. And he's like, okay, before you go too far, figure it out, because you don't want to sit there too long not figuring out the direction that you want to go.
Exactly. You could spend another 10 years if you don't spend some time with yourself and really put pen to paper. So let me ask you this though, about this, because you've mentioned having a mentor a few times. Is that somebody that you just kind of trust and rely on, that you've met just through the course of life? Is that somebody that you met through AKPsi? Is that somebody, did you seek them out? There's a lot of folks I know in my industry that actually pay for a coach. How did you find them? How did you find a mentor? Where did you come up with a mentor?
So, it was a series of circumstances, I would say. I had the opportunity to go to work in Italy for 6 months with one of our suppliers, and I came back and immediately got thrown into the fire with another project. And the executive that was on this project, I kind of had a couple conversations with here and there. After the project was over, I met with them, briefly kind of introduced myself. Then it was about a month later, I was invited to, so one of the programs I kind of helped start with over at Central was a business-to-business breakfast. And so we were bringing in speakers. And so what we ended up doing is we ended up having a breakfast up at the Columbia Tower. And it ended up being hosted by Boeing. I got the invite from Central, and I had an open seat next to me, and the executive walks in, sits down next to me, and I'm like, oh, hey, I was part of your team, kind of just chit chatted there, and I had 30 minutes of focused time, just saying, hey,
That's awesome.
can I meet up with you at some point to just talk to you, just about in generalities, because he's a Central grad too.
Oh, perfect.
And so, I mean, there's immediately that connection. And so from that point, he's been I would say my kind of career coach and mentor for the last 6 years.
That's awesome.
And so it's been kind of fun to watch because he's progressed fairly quickly too. And, he's finding a good mentor is hard.
100%.
I won't lie, because you have to have somebody that is a good mentor that will ask questions. Really, it's kind of a lot of times it's kind of a therapy session. Sometimes, somebody that will listen to you and listen to your nonsense, but at the same time, will question you and ask hard questions, kind of walk you through things, because they have a little bit different life experiences,
right.
Some different aspects. They understand the landscape of the business that you're in, and so really to truly understand that you're getting a good coach and mentor is hard. And sometimes, to get the right person is difficult sometimes, but
100%.
I definitely feel lucky with my situation.
Yeah, and so that's super interesting to me because people lean on luck a lot of times but what you just told me was, you were aligned with Central, you were aligned with Boeing, and you helped create an event. You were doing real work and making real connections that really set you up to have this moment. So it's a lot of people think like, oh, I just want to reach out and I just want to do this and I just want to do that, but they don't realize that by putting in the work, by doing doing certain business related things, that you'll have business related outcomes, right? And so and
that was something. It's like
success.
I never knew that back in my college days it would be helping me pay off, by helping set up this event with the College of Business and having it sustained for 10 plus years. It's going to come back to me and really do help out. I was pretty amazed by it, but.
And nobody paid you to do it. It's not like you were a consultant to at some firm. Well, if I'm going to put this event on, I want to get paid for it. It was volunteer, right? I mean, it was just something that you saw potential in.
Yep.
Yeah, and so that's the thing that I think that a lot of people need to hear a lot of times is it's about doing the things and keep doing the things, and then hard work is the mother of good luck, right? I mean, you're just putting in the work, and then something happens. You don't know what that something is going to be, but you're at the right place at the right time. So that's awesome. That's really cool that they sustain that event, that it still is a thing that can happen. So I wanted to kind of jump in because we talked a lot about AKPsi and reaching out and talking to people in business, and the ability to send a letter, send a LinkedIn message and say, hey, I saw you were at such and such, can we connect? Which is all good things, but it's about building relationships and sustaining those relationships and then keeping in contact with people, which is hard this day and age. I mean, we have so many ways that we can do it, but it's still tough. Is there stuff that you're excited about just in general with like I know you get on a lot of rides, you put a lot of miles on your bike. Is there stuff outside of work and outside of AKPsi that you've built relationships and brought people into and had that kind of the reason that you make money is so that you can go out and do stuff? Is there tell me a little bit about what's going on there.
So, I would say as far as, bringing in people and things like that, bringing people together, So yeah, cycling is one of the aspects that, I've definitely sustained in my life over the last 3 years, trying to make healthier choices. And so we'll be doing the Seattle to Portland bike ride coming up here in the next month. This will be our third time doing it, and it's 205 miles over 2 days, so it's a bit of a hike. But yeah, I ride with a couple brothers right now, and one of our good friends, and it's kind of funny just because the networks that you build, actually, two other friends, and then we have an optional 6-person as well that we ride with here and there as well. But I think that's our when it's getting into our high season, May, June time frame, and we ride a ton of hours, and it's good to have that outlet. I mean, it's I suck at golf. I'll be honest with you.
Me too.
And maybe that's because I haven't put the time and effort into it as much as I probably should. But at least I know if I could ride a bike, I can ride a bike, and I can go straight. I at least can steer it the way I want it to go. But so that aspect has been pretty fulfilling outside as well. It's I like to learn a lot. Whether it's figuring out how to make an LED lamp, and programming it to do different functions, or I'm into photography as well. So there's that aspect too. So, and traveling, we love to travel. Disney is a staple.
Yeah,
for Carrie and I. So yeah, we typically have it's either every year or every other year. We either go to like Disney World, Disneyland. This year we're going to Disneyland and Disney World this year.
Wow.
Yeah, we had our Disneyland trip planned, and then we had the opportunity to go down to Disney World for a wedding. And so we're going to head down there later in the year. So that's, we would have probably only chose one trip, but hey, it's one of those ones that you can't miss up on it, especially when we have some good friends getting married. So so Disney
opportunity presents itself. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And travel's big too, so love to travel.
Yeah, 100%. I'm there as well. Any opportunity I can make to spend, running around with a backpack is the best. Yeah. Well, cool, man. I appreciate you making time for me this morning. Is there, hopefully we'll put this out and let some people connect with us that otherwise wouldn't have known some of this stuff. Is there a best way to get in touch with you, or if somebody wanted to reach out and say hello or just connect with you, what's the best way for folks to do that?
Yeah, grab me on LinkedIn or Facebook. Those are always the two best ones for me.
Is your Facebook just Facebook / Mike Dickson, or
I do believe so.
Okay, and then what about LinkedIn? Is it? Are you sporting your middle initial there, or is it?
Let me look here really quick. I think it's Mike Dickson Jr. is okay. What the dash is.
So if anybody's out there that's going to see this and wants to reach out to you, Mike Dickson, maybe Mike Dickson Jr., works at Boeing. Any other key things on that would let them know that that's you for sure?
Yeah, my bald head.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay. Well, awesome, man. I really appreciate it. I think there's some really big takeaways here. Just, I like the idea that when you were talking about events, and I remember when I was a student member, you were talking about planning events and how, you think about the stakeholders involved and kind of start with the end in mind and plan an event backwards. But I think that there's really great power in showing people that, hey, if you do the work, if you put together the events, if you do something that's lasting, you'll inevitably make connections with people and build relationships with people, and especially if you take a proactive approach and a network strategy to say, hey, I'm interested in XYZ. I thought you were interested in XYZ. Let's talk. Nothing can go wrong there, right? I mean, there's nothing but benefit, right?
Yep, exactly. And I think the overall, well, I know the fraternity overall is trying to move towards experiences in general. That's somewhere that we have identified that we lack in.
So how do you mean experiences in general? Like they're going to send me down to South America to zip line?
No,
is that
no? So
that'd be an experience.
So we look at let's take fundraising for instance, right? How do we get the best out of fundraising, right? At the student and chapter specific level. A car wash is not it. Right?
No, 100%.
You're not going to make any gains. You're not going to, yeah, you know what? And the members, like for me, I hated it. I'd rather give you $20 and bitch out on it and say, here we go. And actually participate in doing car washes. But, it's about creating some sort of sustainable gains and experiences. And
well, yeah, 100%. And that was something, because I was a president, of my chapter too, and it was something that I tried to convey was that, look, if you show me what you've done, show me. Like, we hosted SOTC and we had some great numbers that year, where the person that was, primarily the orchestrator of that event could then take and say, hey, I did this. We had 300 people show up. We did this. We did, there was tangibles all the way down the line that versus, we hosted a car wash.
Yeah. And, one of the things that we tried doing, my last year there when I was the president was putting a 3-on-3 basketball tournament together. I mean, we broke, so much. We think we made $1,000 off of it. But there's so much logistics that go into it. You have to work with the downtown business association. You have to work with the city because you shut down streets. You have to get cars towed first thing in the morning, which is fun to watch. But those is doing events like that's where you gain the most experience. It's not about the end result. It's more about that experience and that journey that you really need to work 100%. On. And so,
yeah, because it shows that you can, if I was in a position to hire people, I would want to know more about what they're capable of actually doing and have done versus the degree on paper. Those things are important, but showing me tangibles, showing me the experiences is going to be a benefit. And I think that's one of the things that student members and even alumni, if they're looking to bolster, if they're not entrenched in their career and they're looking to bolster their resume, that's the message that high school counselors were trying to convey with volunteer work, right? But it wasn't shown to us enough of like, hey, if you host an event and you put together all the logistics and you can track how many people showed up because of your efforts and what the end result was because of your efforts, then you have something real and tangible, a real experience to share with people, and you might just make some connections when you put together something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. Well, is there anything else that that you would want to leave the folks here with? Any other nuggets of advice, business, life, brotherhood wise, or anything else that we touched on that you'd like to cover a little bit more, or anything else we haven't touched on that you'd like to drop in?
Oh no, not at this time. I know we could probably have further conversations at some point too.
Yeah, 100%. I think that, given the way that we're trying to put this thing together and give some kind of value to the community that we're both a part of, I think it would definitely be worthwhile to jump back on the line with each other and see what's what and what's going on, and check in and see how 2 times to Disneyland is.
Oh yeah, yep.
Doing Disney. So, okay. Well, awesome, man. I really appreciate it. I'm going to hit the stop broadcast, which would stop the recording. We'll tidy this up. I'll see what I can do to put it out there and have you take a look at it too. And we'll go from there, man.
All right. Sounds good.
All right.